And this is the importance of knowing the self that the Egyptians always said, man, know thyself. Because once you understand who and what you are, none of these people can oppress you any longer. As long as you let that inner self radiate. Let that sun within you, that pyramid, let it shine. We've been restricted from letting it shine for a prolonged period of time because the last time we was letting it shine, we got in trouble. That's part of the process of learning how to control power. And another part of the process is those you oppress eventually will have to oppress you so that you'll know what it feels like. And we got to keep that in mind. And so the whole God aspect of the fear, you don't fear God. You don't even reverence God. You identify with God. You allow, like you compare yourself to God like this. You say, if God was standing where I'm standing right now, and he's seen the conditions that I see right now, what would God do? So this is why you see all of these, what would Jesus do, wristbands, bumper stickers, everything, because that's what they're doing. They're doing it from a Christian standpoint, but the philosophy or the underlying mechanism is the same. By trying to exalt your thinking into the thinking of God, you change yourself within on a there, because the vibration of fear is so much lower than the vibration of God that it cannot even penetrate. Once you lose fear, you become something else. Entirely something else. And the loss of that fear is the greatest joy that you're going to experience, especially when you're dealing with psychic phenomena, because it's going to open you up to so many messages from the universe that is going to give you the opportunity to see something in yourself that you never knew was. Okay? So, I'm going to look through these quotes and see if there's anything I need to touch on before I go. There's a cool session, okay? The sensation you feel around your heart chakra, Jillian, is when we start coming out of the slumber, what was used to put us to sleep is called, it's a replica of something that's natural called the noon. The noon is the primordial waters of creation that we see in Amos. No, that's mythological. Woman is not a helpmeet for man. And here's how you understand where the deception is in the Genesis story. Adam was told that when a man becomes an adult, he leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife, and they become one flesh. Now, that doesn't sound abnormal in the arena of marriage as we are taught, except for one thing. They don't tell you that's not a patriarchal thing for the husband to leave his mother and father and to cleave to his wife. That's matrimony, to join a clan. Humans are pack animals. When I tell you that the woman is the most critical tool for our liberation right now, it's because of her ability to use mitochondrial, her ability to join with like-minded, strong women of any ethnicity, because they all have mitochondria. And at this oneness of mind, they create a hive. It's called the 100 monkey effect. There got to be a certain amount of women. They have to be trained in a very specific manner. And from this, the resurrection of the dead takes place all over earth. All of the unrealized gods begin to wake up within minutes of each other. All of the 3/5 become 5/5, no longer oppressed, supreme rulers of this planet and this universe. And there's only one crown prince of heaven and earth that's going to make all this happen. And the crown prince is going to be crowned by the Christ. So don't believe what these people tell you when they tell you the Christ is a man. And I'm going to tell you why. In your revelations, it tell you that the Christ was going to come as a bride adorned for her groom, right? Then it tell you that our prince on earth is going to be crowned by the Christ. If we know the ancient code of kings, and if we've understood anything in the Sumerian text, this is what we know. There is no legitimate king on earth that is not crowned by a queen. If a queen is sitting in the position of queen and she does not crown a king and place the crown on top of his head, she is an imposter. That's how you know Elizabeth is an imposter. Because if she put a crown on a man's head, she will drop dead on the spot for violating that ancient code, and she already know. That's why she's never crowned a king by placing a crown on his head. She'll make a declaration of who gonna be the king. She not gonna take her baby eating ass out there and put no crown on his head. For one, she becomes a despot and he becomes a despot, and they both become marked for death if she survived that event, because it's a highly spiritual event. And only a woman can crown a man king on earth, and a king can only abdicate to one of his sons in a specific manner according to the ancient code. None of this has been done in none of the royal families on earth in recent times, which means they're all imposters. Now I'm going to go back through the comments and we'll see if it's time to get out of here. Yep, the black glue in Spider-Man is a what they call him, the black glue in Spider-Man that keeps trying to take over Spider-Man is this. That's the artificial nanotechnology called intelligent black glue. It is created on a vibrational frequency that's between the physical 3D reality and what we know as the astral realm. And because only the energy workers have been trained to see it, most of us can't see it, but it's there. So in your biblical reference, it says, seeing they will not see, hearing they will not hear, for their hearts have waxed cold. What are they talking about, and what is this wax on their heart? This is the black goo. I'm trying to think of what they call him in Spider-Man. He's called, I can't remember what his name is in Spider-Man. But all of those cartoons tell the children the truth, so to meet the obligation of the right of discovery. They obligated to tell you what they're doing to you, and they can do it in pop culture. And once they do it in pop culture, Venom, that's his name. Now notice the name being Venom, right? I can't understand why I can't be
I don't understand either.
I don't even know how you got in here, but since you're in here. Yeah. Turn your computer down, son.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, now. Symbiosis. It's still too loud.
Is that better?
Okay. Yep. Okay. So the symbiosis. With the black goo. It's too much feedback. Okay. You got any questions? Read.
Yeah. When you talked about the reading, yes, I think I had sent you a message yesterday where I found a contradiction where you was talking about the husband and the wife, and we were talking about the cleaving part that you were talking about, and me and AC was talking about it. I said it doesn't make any sense if we're supposed to believe in God and that Christ came for us. How is it I'm trying to make sure I'm explaining this right, because it really had me. I'm gonna have to pull it up, because I was doing a morning devotion and reading. I said, how is it that if we were made in God's image, then how is it that he's coming to save me if I'm made in his image? If we're not supposed to be jealous, be spiteful, but God is those things too. But it's a sin for us to do it, but it's okay for God. That's a contradicting.
Actually, it's not really a contradiction if you do the story. Okay. So look, because of the feedback, I'm gonna answer your question. I'm gonna have you either mute me.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so the question is, if we made, it's still on, Rick.
Is that better?
Okay. Oh yeah. Oh, that's so much better. Okay, so here we go. So we made an image in the likeness of God, and God can be jealous. Why we can't? First of all, we had to understand that there's two different sets. It's not one God in the Bible. Now, there's a lot of gods in the Bible, actually. Like, for instance, the god of the Moabites was called Chemosh. You had various Israelite gods. The Israelites worshiped a god named Adonai. They worshiped a god named El. They worshiped a god that they called the Tetragrammaton Yahweh or Jehovah. They worshiped a god that they called the Elo. They worshiped a god called El Elyon El. So they didn't just worship one God, but when the translators get a hold of it, they confuse you. All right, now, the Old Testament deity that they call in God is not the same as the Christ of the New Testament. A lot has went into confusing us. And this is where we got confused at. The translators are prime culprits in this, and they did it on purpose. There's two people in your New Testament whose words are in red, but they give you the impression that it's one. The first one is called the Son of Man. It's a male person, right? The other one is the Christ, which is not a male person. The Christ has never been male and is never going to be a male. Okay, so this is where the church drops the ball as far as the congregation getting the truth. You only have to go back to Greek to get the right name. You don't have to go back to the ancient Hebrew. You just go back, take the New Testament to the Greek, and you got the name of the Christ. It's not a secret. Because of the law of the right of discovery, they have to make it easy when they change something for you to discover the deception. Here was the keys King James gave us in order to identify the translation and the trick. King James created the letter J. Created the letter J for what purpose? To translate the Bible and to name the Christ Jesus. Why would he do that? Okay, so where's the key at in this? The fish hook. What did the Christ tell the disciples? I'll make you what?
Fisher of men.
Right. The J is the fish hook.
I see that now.
The fish hook is the key. Straighten it out. Straighten out the hook. You get an I.
Yeah.
You ain't got to do nothing else to pronounce the name, but know how to pronounce basic grammar, i.e. the E becomes silent. S-U-S. Basic grammar. Basic grammar. Now, before I evict the Pope, we need to know why I'm evicting him and who is supposed to be sitting where he at. This is called the Black Madonna. This is the true Pope. She is the Black Madonna. She is the queen of the Nun, N-U-N, priestesses. She is the rightful Catholic. The word Catholic means cataholic. They're talking about the Sphinx, which was the resting mother waiting on her son to wake up in the West. Now, Go to Egypt, look at the 3 pyramids, they match up to the Orion belt. The Leo, being the lioness, lays and she watches the horizon as the sun rises or sets in the west. Right? But this doesn't make sense in the sense that the Christians teach us that the Christ gonna rise in Jerusalem or somewhere over there. That's not what the text say.
Right.
The text say where the eagle gathered and the carcasses are found, there shall the coming of the Son of Man be. The only prominent eagle symbol right now is the United States. Okay, so now what do the United States have that's an answer to the Sphinx in the pyramids? Now, there's pyramids all over America that y'all don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
There's pyramids all over America, but the answer lies in the Nazca lines. They've been trying to figure out what the Nazca lines is since they found them. Why do you see them from the sky, but you can't see them when you're on the ground? What do they mean? The Nazca lines is primarily one, a monkey, and a bird. But it's not just a regular bird, it's the firebird.
Right, the phoenix.
Yes. Okay, now, the phoenix has to rise in the west, mm-hmm, according to the symbols. Now, no matter which religious text, it's going to tell you the same story, but it's veiled. Whether it's the Quran of the Muslims, the Veda of the Hindus, Dhampada of the Buddhists. Everywhere in the world is telling the same story, but they got their own local understanding of how the story goes. Mm-hmm. So the Nazca lines, when you see the monkey and the bird, this is the rise of the Planet of the Apes that they speak of, where in Babylon, what happened to get us here happened in Babylon. Okay. The Babylonians created a synthetic human. That's why you have 2 creations. You have a Genesis 1:26 creation of man and woman, and then you have a Genesis 2 creation of Adam and Eve. The first one is
where the tower comes in, when they talk about the tower and a separation of language.
No, Tower of Babel ain't happened yet.
Okay.
Tower of Babel haven't happened yet. This is only the first 2 chapters.
Okay.
Okay, so now in the first chapter, it said that God created male and female. He created them. He created groups.
Right.
But in the second chapter, only one man was created. He was, roaming around in this garden that they call Eden.
Right.
Which the word Eden literally means, it means the abode of Ian or Id, mm-hmm, or Ea. Ea was an ancient god of earth who came from a place called Nibiru. So okay, when you see Eden, you see the dwelling place of the Lord. In other words, this is God's house in Babylon, and it sits on top of a mountain. Now, they call the mountain Zion. The first Zion is actually Sion, which is actually Sinai, or Sin AI.
Okay.
The Sin was the artificial intelligence that they create called a Golem. Yes, Jillian, EA. And the Golem was what they formed from the dust of the earth.
Oh, okay. Was she? Okay.
Now, this is what they call Kabbalistic magic, the Kabbalah. And this is why everybody talking about the money magic being Kabbalistic, and this is where the devil come from and all this, or the devil's rule. And they actually correct. Because when the Golem was made, which is actually, it was a human that was not supposed to have the opportunity to ascend. It was created by stripping 10 strands of the original DNA so that it can't ascend. It cannot become godlike. So that's why when you see it saying, lest the man eat from the tree of life and become as one of us, mm-hmm, we'll kick his ass out of here. But before that, they didn't want him to have the knowledge. So when you pull your central nervous system out and you look at it, you see the tree that they talk about.
Okay.
Okay. When you understand the rising of the Kundalini, then you understand the power of the eternal life energy that they don't want to meet in your crown. So that's why in there it says, for he who endures to the end shall be given the crown of life. Opening the crown chakra ties you in directly to God without an intercessor. The crown is the crown of life. It's your direct link to God. So when they tell us that jealousy, all of those traits that are negative in the Old Testament, yeah, that's not the one that you really want to be praying to and giving power.
Okay.
Then the one in the New Testament that tell you that whichever one of y'all love one of these babies is the greatest to me. Whichever one of y'all feed the poor is the greatest.